Senators will go head-to-head on Friday night, December the 15th. That's a week from this Friday. ClevelandMonsters.com has got all the details you need on any of their upcoming games. You got a 4-pack of tickets here to get some cold steel on ice. So good luck, caller 10, 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Another ringing endorsement.
You're an idiot. Your show sucks, and you've proven that many times.
For the Alan Cox Show.
You're so stupid.
On 100.7 WMMS.
Oh, Disturbed doing Sonic Temple.
Not Disturbed?
I was thinking D. Snyder. Yeah. We'll talk to D. Snyder. It was almost 40 years ago, boy. If you were of a certain age, if you're a Gen Xer, you remember when D. Snyder was pretty much the face of the rock and roll rebellion against the PMRC. Testified in front of Congress. Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, in the 80s. A lot of moral panic in the 80s, in the Reagan era. And Tipper Gore had started some parents group, and they wanted to talk to all these rock and roll bands, a variety of different artists. It testified in front of Congress. This was back when people were screaming about Ozzy lyrics and Judas Priest and kids killing themselves and blah, blah, blah. And Dee has got a book called He's Not Gonna Take It. That basically kind of a graphic novel that chronicles that time in the 80s when he was kind of the face of that whole thing. Cavaliers are off tonight. They beat Detroit in Detroit, 110-101 on Saturday. They will play here at home on Wednesday night against the Orlando Magic. 7 o'clock tip there, and then they got about a 10-game road stretch before they get back here on the 16th to play the Atlanta Hawks. So the Cavs right now are square smack dab in the middle of the pack in the East. 11-9, which is nothing to sneeze at, quite frankly. But, you know, he ain't going to be as bad as the Pistons or the Trailblazers, who beat them the other night, right? Speaking of Lake, I was talking about the Belleville Senators in Lake Ontario. Our bureau chiefs up in the great state of Michigan kind of hit me up with, and I thought this was a goof too, because I've never seen anything like it. If you're watching the live stream, I can show you a photo here. Feral goldfish are menacing the Great Lakes. And their tagline is, we're going to need a bigger bowl.
That's pretty good.
Which should win a Pulitzer Prize, quite frankly. You know, my older daughter had a goldfish. People have this idea that because you win a goldfish from a fair or something that it dies right away, and that's not the case.
No.
Goldfish is like any other animal. If you take care of it and you get enough room to swim around, they can get pretty big. Big and live a long time. My daughter's goldfish lived for 12 years.
Jeez.
Bubbles, the goldfish. She had it from when she was knee-high to when she left for college. I think her goldfish died the summer before she left for college. But this photo of this massive, it looked like they pulled, you know, a giant tuna out of the lake.
That's crazy.
Fish from stormwater ponds feeding into the Great Lakes. A giant goldfish. And that's part of it, too, is the people who have goldfish, they go, you can't keep them in tiny bowls. You have to let them swim and all this kind of stuff. But once they get into nature, they eat everything. And they reproduce very rapidly, and there are no predators that can stop them. So I'd never heard the term feral goldfish, but I do love it.
A couple of years ago,
They're unstoppable.
my sister was really mad at me. My dad was still alive, so this had to have been like summer 2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
We went to the rib cook-off in Berea, one of our favorite hillbilly traditions.
Yeah.
And everyone in our group decided it would be hilarious to go win a goldfish and give them all to my niece. So my niece, by the end of the day, so she was probably 7 or 8 at this point. She had like 15 goldfish. And my sister was furious because like 2 or 3 of them didn't even make them home. Like,
Yeah.
they died in the car.
Died in the bag,
so
the
she's
bag of
like,
water.
now, because of you idiots, I have to have preemptive talks about death and things like that. And she had to go release them into like a nearby pond because she couldn't
And she was mad at you.
She was so
But then
mad.
think about how handy that was when your dad passed away. You're like,
yeah.
hey, remember the goldfish?
Yeah, Papa, same thing.
Pop in the goldfish. We had to flush them both.
But yeah, she was furious because we thought we were all maybe I was earlier than that because I can't remember if I was drunk or not. But we all
I remember
thought
you
it
telling the
was,
story. I remember her being very, very
she
mad
was
at you.
so mad. But
I think it was 2019.
we were having a great time because every time 2 or 3 people would walk off, they'd come back with more fish and be like, "Here you go, Riley. Here's some more goldfish."
Well, to your point, a goldfish really is a lot of kids' first brush with death, unless it's a grandparent or something like that. But I mean, an animal that you ostensibly take care of and is a goldfish. And usually you flush them when they die, but there's a lot of parents who end up in that situation.
You cook them.
Well, they want nothing to do with it, so they flush them when they're alive because they ain't going to kill them. But that's how all these fish end up in the waterways and and then they grow feral goldfish. They say that they might seem small and vulnerable because we all associate them with, a child's pet, something you want at the fair, whatever. But they said that they're actually very, very good invaders, that they can really take over an ecosystem. And this is why I'm so confused as to why goldfish seem to die under a child's care, because they're reportedly so hardy. How are they all dying so quickly? Like, they're
That's
not
how
really
cool
affected.
children are.
They're not really affected by temperature. They're, they can adapt pretty quickly. So, yeah, these giant feral goldfish, they captured 19 of them that weighed about 3 pounds apiece. Simply no way to know what the total poundage of that is. But there it is.
Not helping.
Imagine going fishing in Lake Erie and catching a goldfish, and how is that happening? Are people catching these things?
Looks like it.
That's hilarious.
They
Be
call
like,
it if we can, they said that these marine biologists say that if we can identify where the goldfish are, we can use selective fishing to eliminate them. And they call that the Judas fish. When they
Traeger.
other fish to lure in the, I don't know. We talked to D. Snyder here.
More than 6, but fewer than 10 minutes. With somebody on the phone.
D, how are
Hey,
you?
man.
What's up?
Life is grand.
Well, you look great.
I feel great, man. I feel great. If the ceiling fan and the peach paint on the walls hasn't already told you, I'm at our house in the Caribbean. So this is the only room that's quiet, and I have a good internet signal. So yeah, I'm just down here on the beach enjoying life.
Walking around barefoot on tile, I assume.
Yes, actually.
Right? I mean, you can't, when you're down there, there's no such thing as carpet. Everything's tile.
Well, actually, there's a little area carpet, so 1 foot's on the carpet and 1 foot's on the tile. I'm kind of splitting it right now.
I was clicking around last night and stumbled onto Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I hadn't seen it in a long time and had completely forgotten that you were in it. And it must have been kismet.
There was a time when that was my claim to fame, the guy in Pee-wee's movie. Yeah, that was pretty crazy because Pee-wee, we started out, he was a comedian, college circuit, clubs, the comedy club circuit. And I was a big fan of his, and we ran into each other at a MTV New Year's party. And we were both mutual admiration. And so cut to, a few months later, a year later, whatever it was, and Pee-wee was making his first movie. Tim Burton directed that one.
Yeah.
That was one of Tim's first big movies. And he asked if we would do a cameo. And I said, yeah, man, love it. So I said, what song you want? We're Not Gonna Take It. I Want to Rock. He goes, oh, no, man, Burn in Hell. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Pee-wee's metal.
it's funny because we're going to talk about this graphic novel here, but, I had just started my freshman year in high school in 1985. In September of that year is when all of this PMRC Senate situation started, where it was you and it was Frank Zappa and it was friggin' John Denver was a part of the thing.
John Denver.
Yeah.
John Denver.
People who are Gen Xers maybe will remember, but a lot of people don't realize what a reviled figure Tipper Gore was back then because of this PMRC nonsense. There were F. Tipper Gore t-shirts and stickers and the whole thing. And for a kid, I was heavily into Motorhead and Ozzy and Priest and Maiden and Twisted Sister. So it was like it was straight down the middle of everything that every kid was into at the time, and we were transfixed if you took the time to watch that stuff.
Yeah, it was a moment in time, and I remember, we were on the road then, and there was a lot of protesting at shows, and we had shows being banned, and I was arrested for profanity in Texas, and but it was just seemed like that was the world we lived in. We're Twisted Effing Sister, and the decade of decadence. It was the Reagan era.
Yeah.
People sometimes go, "Oh, this was a Democrat thing." No, this was, as Republican Democrats shared, the only thing they could agree on is they wanted to potty train rock bands. So it was a big thing, and I'm not sure exactly why, but thanks to social media, YouTube, younger people are discovering the testimony. It's still important. The C word, censorship, is as big a deal now and as it ever was. And any class in colleges where they teach a censorship class, they talk about the Senate hearings. I get asked to speak many times to classes about. I'm the only one who's still alive, by the way. Frank and John, rest in peace. So I win by default, but it's still a very timely subject. Hence, I guess, the graphic novel.
Well, that is the sad thing too, kind of in a way, is that the old chestnut about the more things change, the more they stay the same. Censorship is as American as apple pie, and it's a cyclical thing. It was you guys in the 80s. Now it's books about two dads or whatever. That kind of stuff, there's different iterations of it, but it doesn't go away.
It's more, in this case right now, it's more of a pendulum, which is interesting because back then it was the Reagan era, as I said. It was definitely a puritanical, conservative, right wing, even though the Dems were involved, but still it was that conservative, we have to protect our children.
Yeah.
Now that pendulum swung, and we've got the far left. So, and it's you can't say that.
Yeah.
If you say that, you're going to be canceled. You can't speak out. You can't do that. So it's still censorship. They're both censorship, but they're different forms of censorship. So it's an interesting thing to watch. Kind of sucks, really.
Yeah. So talk about the graphic novel. We're not going to take it. And I mean, if there's ever been a rallying cry for every iteration of youth, it's that.
We're Not Gonna Take It is a song that I never expected to become. It's a folk song at this point. The other day on social media, somebody posted a football stadium in Indonesia. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people, and they're singing "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Right.
like, holy crap! And I'm sure they didn't even know who I am. So but the song has taken on its own life, and everybody, as actually by design, it was designed to be insert your frustration here. And so I get every right wing, left wing, teachers, kids, parents, football teams, everybody's singing it, but that's how the song was designed. The book, He's Not Gonna Take It, it's capturing in graphic novel form because it has a certain appeal to certain people. My time in Washington fighting censorship, and also how they want to go back and explore how did I become that voice at that moment. So there's a frame in there of me in the crib, literally in the crib, with my parents looking down. Oh, he's so cute, and it goes, and Jace, basically, I was just this outcast kid, this odd kid who everybody's just constantly telling us, shut up, know your place, shush, and finally at about 16, I got tired of shutting up.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the microphone and I have not shut up since.
It's the evolution of D. Snyder from birth to current day.
Yes. But, it's also, I think, a message to younger people is that it's not necessarily some special individuals who wind up doing special things. It's just people, just like you, like most of us, just trying to find their voice, and that, and I think sometimes people think, the great people started out as great as really great people. No, they weren't popular. They weren't famous. They weren't, they weren't the cool kids mostly. They just, but eventually they figured out how to make a statement, and everybody has a voice. They should use it.
He's Not Going to Take It. It is the graphic novel from D. Snyder. It encapsulates everything that should be at least at the back of people's minds when they're thinking about the evolution of culture and society and all that. Have fun down there, D. I appreciate your time, brother, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Thanks. And, the holiday season's here, people, so he's not going to take it. I've got a novel called Frats, came out a couple months ago. There's even a D. Snyder Funko Pop. They all make great holiday gifts.
Stockings need to be stuffed.
That's right. Stuff those stockings.
Later, pal.
Bye-bye.